Hi, my name is Brittany, and this is my informational speech on sweatshop factories and their role in an industrialized nation. First, we'll start with what a sweatshop factory is. A sweatshop factory is a factory where workers work for very low wages and have very poor working conditions. More than 80% of sweatshop factories actually violate international workers' rights laws. Take a look at the tags on your clothing. Where are they from? Where were they made? Who were they made by? If they were made by companies by Gap, Forever 21, Urban Outfitters, Victoria's Secret, and made in a country that's hard to pronounce, they were likely made with sweatshop labor. Let's look at a day in the life of a sweatshop laborer. A journalist named Ravina decided to go undercover as a sweatshop laborer in a factory in Bangladesh. It only took her one 12-hour shift to realize the injustice that was going on and the conditions that were almost unlivable. She was in this factory and started to notice that they didn't have basic necessities that are so common in factories in America. They didn't have windows, emergency exits, fire extinguishers, and the bathroom was practically unusable. Not to mention, she was trained by a 9-year-old girl. It's so common in developing countries like Bangladesh for girls to quit school at a very young age to help contribute to their family. In Bangladesh, that age is 7. Now we'll look at the 7 worst countries for sweatshop labor. Number 7 is Turkey. Number 6, Indonesia. Number 5, Mexico. Number 4, China. Number 3, Cambodia. Number 2, Vietnam. And the worst country for sweatshop labor is Bangladesh. In Turkey, sandblasting is used to distress denim for your jeans and jackets, but it causes silicosis, which is a disease that they call an angel of death. It also causes tuberculosis and lung cancer. Many workers who contract the angel of death disease can die within days. They'll be lucky if they last weeks. Mexico uses the most child labor around the globe. China is home to 482 million people that live on less than $2 a day. And Bangladesh, the worst country for sweatshop labor, was home to a huge scandal known as the Rana Plaza building collapse. In 2013, workers showed up at their factory in Bangladesh and noticed that there were cracks on the walls and foundation of the building. They didn't want to go in, but were forced anyways by their managers. And it only took a short while for the building to start falling apart. It took 90 seconds for the entire building to collapse and kill more than 1,200 of their workers that were mostly women and children. So you might be wondering, what's the role in America? We're not a developing country and we don't have sweatshop factories. You'd be right. The Industrial Revolution brought about new technology, but it also brought about labor laws. That's the reason why you have to be 18 to get most jobs, 16 to get a work permit, and why you can only work a certain amount of hours, why overtime is usually optional, and why there's a minimum wage. It made these companies responsible for keeping their employees safe and for being fair. But developing countries like Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam, and China don't have labor laws, and they can't protect their workers. So while the United States doesn't have sweatshops across our nation, many American companies still use sweatshop labor because it's cheap. You can pay your workers cents an hour, and so that can keep your cost of the product down and increase your profits. But what's the real cost? So now you're probably wondering if there's a solution. I can't just give you all this bad news and no solution. Fair trade is a term given to companies that pay their workers in developing countries living wages, not just minimum wages. These developing countries don't understand what it takes to actually live a life. Minimum wage might support you in a shack in the slum, but a livable wage will help send your kids to school so they don't have to work in a factory. There are lots of companies that are fair trade. Popular beauty companies like Lush and Alafia, fair trade. Patagonia clothes, Aliberte shoes, fair trade. Celia Grace wedding dresses, fair trade. Even food items like Honest Tea and Ben & Jerry's ice cream, they're fair trade too. Supporting these companies is really important because they're helping support people in these developing countries. Alafia Cosmetics, for example, helps support children in schools in South Africa. Upcycling is when you take something that was old and make it new again. I took a pair of jeans and turned it into an apron. You can use something that you might have thrown away and use it for something that you could have bought but decided to make anyways. Finally, you can thrift shop or shop secondhand. When you're doing this, you're not directly supporting sweatshop labor, because even though what you're purchasing may have come from a sweatshop at one point, you're using something that would have likely gotten thrown away, and now you're purchasing it. You're helping small companies, and you're not supporting sweatshop labor. Plus, you can save a few bucks doing it. I love thrift shopping. Thank you for joining me in my informational speech. I hope you learned a lot about sweatshop labor.